Well, hello everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Ignite podcast. Today I've been joined by Andy Alagappan. Mate, welcome to the call.
Thanks, Josh. Thanks a lot for having me on, mate. Really do appreciate it. Yeah.
Easy. Mate, thank you for agreeing. Obviously you and I caught up a while back, super interesting journey, so pretty keen to sort of unpack that today. But maybe, mate, to start out, let us know a bit about you and your business.
Yeah, so I'm a controls and planning professional. So I write methodologies and programs for complex projects. Any project that's over 20 million, something like that, I suppose. So I've had a career doing this. I've worked in the oil and gas industry, iron and steel manufacturing. Then I moved on to telco and recently construction. So I've kind of had the pleasure of kind of working for different industries. Doing the same thing, which not many people do get in their careers, I suppose. So it's quite an exciting journey. And off late, after being in construction for about 5 years, I've set up my own consulting business here in New Zealand, called Strategic Planning Co, where I provide consulting, project planning services, and project control services to various different organizations in New Zealand. I guess, yeah.
Yeah, good, mate. And what made you take the leap into business owner world?
Am I really a business owner? I'm not working on the business. I'm working in the business.
Yeah, right. Okay, that's a convo for another day.
I'm sure it is. So yeah, I would say more than a business. I'm a consultant, really. I need to figure out how I'm going to expand that, which I haven't figured out yet. I'm still trying to establish my market. I've kind of worked for 22 different organizations in the last 18 months. So my life's all over the place. Yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, mate, awesome. And I guess, so like probably before you started your business, like maybe tell us a bit about, your journey. Obviously you worked across a whole bunch of different industries, but like what were some of the kind of highlights, working not for yourself first, then we'll dive into sort of working for yourself and, all the fun and stuff you're having now.
Yeah, right. Okay. So I started off my career with an oil and gas company. Back then I was young and I really wanted to party. I didn't want to learn. This is fresh out of uni. I was like, yo, got some money in the bank, let's party. So didn't do much of the learning there. But then my career really launched off when I came to New Zealand. And I used to work for the Glenbrook Steel Mill as a shutdown planning engineer. Started really getting into planning and started understanding what works well in kind of the iron and steel manufacturing sector. I was still a junior planner, so I'm not sure how much value I added there, but my career really kicked off in the ultra-fast broadband project when I started working for like laying the telco cables or laying the UFB. I think you have a similar network in Australia, the fiber network. Yeah, so it's the same thing. Different challenges, the importance of data. And what I kind of realized was all of these different industries that I worked in, they do some things well and they do some things not so well, right? But I stepped into construction and day one of my job, I just wanted to quit my job, man.
Yeah, right.
I was like, this is not even organized chaos. This is just chaos. But then I stuck it out and I stuck it out there for a couple of weeks. And then I was like, it's a great opportunity. If there's anywhere I can influence change, it's in the construction industry, where there's mass amounts of chaos. So so I'm not saying construction is really bad.
Which is a chaos influencer, hey?
Yeah. So yeah, so
yeah, good.
That's the journey.
And I guess for viewers and listeners who don't kind of know about, control planning and that sort of stuff, maybe a little bit of a deep dive into kind of the work that you do, the kind of problems you help your clients solve and that sort of thing. Yeah.
So as part of strategic planning, I kind of have 4 different offerings, right? So it's like I've kind of grouped it, so it's like quite easy and simple. So I do a bit of tender planning. Tender planning is all about where a client wants a building built, or government wants a road built, bridge built, whatever. They go out to tender these multiple different companies or construction companies, and you need to submit a program of works with your tender. So I assist construction companies develop the methodology, the logistics plans, and then develop a sequence on how the entire building or road or bridge, whatever it may be, is going to be built. And I use tools like Primavera P6 or Asta Power Projects to kind of develop a program that works, resource load them so you can clearly articulate who does what, where, when, and how much of it.
Okay, so down to the personnel as well.
Yeah, 100%. Because
Yep.
people are the most important thing. Without them, you're not doing anything.
True.
Right. Yep. Yeah. So the most important aspect, as far as I'm concerned, are the people. But yeah, then that's tender planning, right? Then I do execution planning. I help them monitor the developed program over a period of time and give them strategic advice on where they, if they're losing time, gaining time. If they're losing time, what mitigation measures they could set in place, the risks, the opportunities that are upcoming, and how to act on them. Those are sorts of things I kind of come up with clear strategic reports, one pager reports. I believe in clear communication, right? So it's like,
yeah, awesome.
Keep it simple. Yep. So that's what I focus on like the execution planning. Then there's like change management. So I've never written a program that's gone to plan. Never, not once in my life.
Yeah, right.
Change is the only constant. So big project management companies kind of get paid a lot of money to effectively manage that change, right? So I assist in managing that change, or processing variations and understanding the impacts of change events on the program on time. So that's change management. That's my third offering.
Yep.
And then I've got delayed dispute resolution, which is, independent expert advice. I'm not an expert, which is industry calls it. That's the terminology that the industry calls us. It's like independent experts. So we step into a situation where the contractor and the client don't really, have problems.
Agree.
Yeah, they disagree on a lot of different things, and obviously have a contract in place. And I then use different delay analysis techniques based on information available to try and articulate whose accountability the delay was, or what the root cause of delay was, right? And who's accountable for that root cause. So not my favorite kind of work, but
yeah, I can imagine it would get pretty heated.
More than heated, I think it's the amount of data I've got to manage.
Yeah, right.
It's the crazy amounts of data. Not that I'm complaining. It's the uncategorized data that I have to then deal with to do the analysis.
Yep.
Is a lot of work.
Yeah,
a lot of work. And I just think that sort of work is like kind of ambulance at the bottom of the cliff, not influencing positive change in the industry.
Yes. Yeah, and certainly, like, the stuff that I've seen you posting and the conversations that we've had is more about that sort of positive influence of change.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So, mate, to kind of distill down, the stuff that you do is really when a client wants to go from A to B, you kind of tell them the timeline to get there, how they're going to get there, and the personnel required.
Yeah. Who does what, where, when, and how much of it. Simple.
So good. Awesome. Thank you. No, I just know there'll probably be some questions about what is that. So now they know. So, mate, on to your clients, like client relationships and that sort of stuff. Like, what have been some of the, I guess, tools and strategies? Obviously, going out on your own means that you need to build and develop good, lasting, ongoing relationships and that sort of stuff. Like, what's your kind of core focus when it comes to, developing those deep relationships with clients so they keep coming back?
It's providing an effective service, right? So planners are few and far between in New Zealand. Don't have good. You've got schedulers. You've got a few schedulers. Schedulers are people who'd get the data into a program, right? They're not necessarily thinking about the strategy, the logic, the how do we get from A to B, like you said. Not many planners in New Zealand. Not many. Yeah. So it's about keeping it extremely simple, and clear, effective communication. Yeah.
Yep.
So I have the strategy that I can employ. I try when I actually go take on a project, I'm already thinking about my exit strategy. I'm going, how can I get out of here as soon as possible, but add the maximum amount of value and leave? Because the last thing I can do as a consultant is become another bum on a seat. Because I'm not. That's not why I'm a consultant, right? It's not why people pay me money. People pay me money to come in, get rid of a problem, get out.
Awesome. Love it. And that's going well?
Oh, mate, swimmingly. Like I said, I've worked for 22 organizations in 18 months since I started strategic planning. It's crazy. It's It's good. People keep calling me back, which is awesome.
Yeah, nice.
That's it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And like to dive into that a bit more, like I talk to my coaching clients a lot about really understanding your client's world and like what's the real problem that we're trying to solve. And a lot of times it's just like, oh, well, I'm an engineer and I'm doing calculations, or
Yeah.
and it's like, well, no, that's not actually the real problem that you're trying to solve. And if you can actually stop, slow down, think about your client's world, think about the problems that they have and experience and the way at which they look through the lens of life. If you can actually slow down and do that, you just get such a better insight into your client's world around how you can solve their problems better. And so
Yeah.
I guess for you, mate, like what's kind of like the real problem that you're solving for your clients? Like we talked about getting from A to B in the quickest possible time, but like, you know, what's kind of the underlying problem there that you're solving for them?
Effective communication.
Good.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's clear. It's pretty simple for me. It's people think like, you know, planning's like masters of the dark arts. So
Yeah.
it's not. It's lines on a piece of paper, man. Come on. It's how you interpret that, right? And they're like, that's pretty much all I focus on. It's like, how do I get this message to the guy laying bricks, you know, putting timber up? How does he look at a piece of paper and understand what he must be doing today, at what location, and how much of it, right? And then how am I able to then get data back from the field and feed it back to them in a timely fashion? It's really simple. I try and not complicate anything, right? Clear communication, well-structured program, your program flows, everybody can understand it, use plain simple language, effective communication. But recently I'm kind of like focused on like innovative 4D, but that focuses around effective communication as well, you know. So we normally produce pages and pages of Gantt charts, right? Whereas it's real good detail and the logic is great, I don't believe it's the most effective form of communication, right? Why would I expect somebody to read 20 pages of a Gantt chart, you know, and try and understand exactly the sequence it works?
Yeah, you
So
lose them.
yeah, I'd absolutely lose them in the first 6 minutes. Right? So how about we, you know, so what I'm currently focused on is kind of linking the program to a 3D model so you can run a simulation of how the building is to be built.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's new. Have you like started to roll out with your clients?
I've rolled it out unsuccessfully 6 times.
Okay.
And I've successfully once very recently.
Yep. How was it received?
Really, really good. Like, so I'm still trying to identify more use cases for 4D planning. I think we're just scratching the surface of the potential this could lead to, you know, like, because the world's moved down. It's all like, you know, 1 minute learning is a big thing.
Yep.
It's a huge thing, right? So I'm trying to bring 1 minute learning to construction, like TikTok. Why not?
Very interesting. Yeah. Why not?
Yeah. Yeah. So I'm giving it my best go, but yeah. So usually some of the use cases that I'm going through right now is, you know, obviously there's the sales pitch, which clients love it. It's a great sales pitch. Yeah. But parked at one side, that doesn't build buildings. Yeah. I'm focused on how do you build buildings, right?
Yes.
So the other use case I'm currently using it for is normally the site guys, I'd give them like a look ahead program. I'd be like 3 weeks, this is what you need to do. And it'll be a series of tasks filtered for 3 weeks and say, it's what you need to focus on. Instead of that, I now give them a snapshot of what the site should look like by the end of the month, by the end of the week.
Right.
So on and so forth. And what I've started doing now is I print them out in like A3, a snapshot of what the site should look like by say end of August, end of September, end of November, and I stick it up in the smoker room.
Yep.
Yeah. So now subconsciously, every time he's walking in, he sees in big bold letters, end of September, site should look like this. And then he walks on the site. What do you think he's thinking?
How do I make the site look like that?
Exactly. Right. So I'm trying to improve those forms of communication. I don't know. I'm trying different things, I guess.
Yeah, mate, I love it because it's
visual.
Yeah, it is. It's visual learning, but it's also leading to people consume information differently, people learn differently, but also you're 100% right. That subliminal kind of thing that's on the wall every time they walk in. That's why I talk to my clients all the time about like have your North Star or your vision somewhere where you can see it all the time, because even if you're not, you know, staring at the wall taking it in. It's there,
It's
and
there.
you're always kind of, your subconscious is working on ways to go, okay, well, my next goal is X. How am I going to get there?
Exactly. Yeah. And then the other use case for 4D planning is obviously delay and dispute resolution. I've always struggled to kind of articulate root causes of delay. Like, how do you clearly communicate that? What if you could have two different models running, look at two different sets of data and running simulations, saying you could clearly pinpoint where things started going wrong and why.
Unreal.
That's what delay analysis is all about. So then, say hypothetically, hopefully it doesn't happen, but I get pulled into a courtroom and I'm asked as an expert witness to explain what went wrong, and rather than me sitting and trying to tell people what a nib wall is and concrete and explain all the methodology, I could then run two different simulations run side by side.
Oh, that's so good.
Yeah.
And run from like a sort of 3D. We'll run it from a actual visual image of what could have happened, what did happen, that kind of thing.
Yeah, planned versus actual.
Awesome.
So this is what was intended, but this is what actually happened, and the reason is the change introduced.
Yep.
Force majeure, whatever, I don't know. Could be a number of things.
Oh, mate, it reminds me of, like, I love that sort of stuff, and that's kind of, we're talking really about innovation now. Like, it reminds me of, when I was a civil engineer, I was a project manager working on a 3,500 lot master plan community, and we had the design team, running 12D and AutoCAD and building the design for the subdivision. And we had a lot of, like, there was you have hold points throughout the design, and we would send the client, who were quite a hands-on client. They wanted to be part of the whole process and see what, their lots are going to look like, and was that lot elevated above the road or was it below, and what did that look like, and like, could they put themselves in the potential buyer's shoes and sort of stand there and picture their lot and that they were going to potentially buy. And so you send them all these 2D pieces of paper that with like spot levels on it, which is, compared to road RL2, this is RL 1.5 and all that sort of stuff. And we got constant kind of feedback. Is there a way that you could produce, can you show us something? Like, we can't picture it. And we actually then spent some time looking at the capabilities of 12D, and you can do these 3D simulation fly-throughs and stuff. And it was like it was something that the platform allowed for, but it's something that you'd never, as a consultant, thought about. Hey, what if we got our client into the boardroom and put the 3D thing up on the screen and actually just drove him down his estate road, and you could stop. Here's lot 4. Okay, yeah, that looks pretty good. Here's lot 5. Or what if you just lifted that up a bit? And it was a game changer. Like, again, it was just something that was so simple, but it was, again, stopping and thinking about your client's world. They've got to sell lots, so that's kind of their problem. They don't engage you to do the design. They do, but like, they engage you to solve problems. And so the more you can think about that and help them solve that problem, anyway.
100%.
Yeah.
Imagine if you could now get that into VR.
Well, we tried that. It, again, this is probably 10 years ago. Oh, no, probably 7 or 8. Anyway, let's go 10 years ago. The contractor on site built a full dark room. We got VR goggles. We got all of the consultants to put all of their pipework, sewer, stormwater, civil design, everything into one kind of model. And it was pretty clunky, but you could, in that room, stand and kind of walk around and walk up the street. And we did it for service or clash detection, in terms of making sure that everyone's services weren't going to run into each other. But it was just this cool kind of dark room out on site that you could go in with the VR goggles on. It's cool.
So today technology has evolved, and you don't need it. You don't need a dark room. You could just carry along your Oculus Quest 2. It's something I own. So you just pick it up, and you could get a 3D model in there, and you can set up anywhere.
Oh, that's unreal.
That's
so good.
Crazy cool. And I think my ideal goal would be to move the models into the VR goggle to run simulations.
Right. So good. This stuff's fascinating. Yeah.
Mate, it blows my mind. I love it. I get out of bed thinking about the shit every day.
That's so good. Mate, you mentioned something before that's kind of where I want to steer the conversation around. Again, I do a lot of work with my clients around strategy and psychology. So you can have the best strategy in the world. But if you don't have the right psychology, mindset, thought process, that kind of thing, you kind of, you got the car in second, you're in a bit of a ditch and you're just spinning the wheels kind of thing. So what do you think have been the personality traits or skill sets that have really sort of served you on this journey so far? Like, what are your strengths?
My strengths, personally?
Yeah, that have really served you.
I talk a lot.
Helps.
It helps a lot. I drink a lot of beer. That helps a lot
also
too.
helps. Yep.
Yeah, I mean, and not by myself, but I'm out socializing quite a lot.
Thanks
with
for
clients.
clarifying. Yep.
I'm not an alcoholic.
Okay, just to be clear.
Just to be clear. No, I mean, social events are great. Like, it's obviously it for me it still comes down to communication, right? Just basic communication, and I'm making it abundantly clear why I'm there, what's my purpose, can I serve my purpose, and leave, right? And in some of the personality traits, I mean, some people that I run into always know better. It's quite interesting. I run into a lot of them in the construction industry, which is quite cool. It's like they always know everything, which is like, they're yeah.
Is that a good thing in terms of they know better, or you're saying that from a negative point of view and they can't be told, that they won't see new ways of doing things, they can't see the wood for the trees kind of thing?
From a negative perspective.
Yeah, right.
Right. So I mean, take Google for an example, right? Google's really shown us the power of data. Yeah.
Yep.
And I'm a pro digitalization, pro data-driven decisions. Let's not make emotional decisions. Let's focus on making data-driven decisions. And that's where I like to take my planning to, is are we making a good, logical, data-driven decision? And there are some people that I'll never be able to convince, because they know. but then there are other people, and a lot of the younger generation as well, I think. I mean, not just the younger generation, even the older generation, they're all picking up on, they can't run 1,000 logic links in their head, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, you could know it all, but you can't run 5 scenarios and 1,000 logic links in your head. It's impossible.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. So people are coming around, which is quite cool. And I've always said this, like, the importance for time is never appreciated at the start of a project. It's way more appreciated towards the end of a project when they're in delay.
When they're running out of time, or they have no time.
Exactly. Yeah. So why wouldn't you set a program of works to start with your entire scope of works at the start, and have a lot more effort put into your program at the start, rather than focus a lot more and spend a lot more money at the back end?
100%. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, that's your most valuable asset. Time is your most valuable. It's way more important than money. You lose money, you can make money, no problem. You lose time, it's gone forever.
Yep. 100%.
So what's more important?
Yep.
Am I doing a good sales pitch?
Yeah, kind of. It's pretty good. Where do I sign? So you talked about communication being a core skill or trait for you that's sort of really served you. Anything else, like, you've noticed, about yourself to be true, that sort of really helped you, probably particularly since you launched your business? Like, what's really served you to, firstly launch the business, but sort of grow it, sustain it, and then grow it?
Yeah. I can switch between being an introvert and extrovert, which really helps, right?
Yep.
I mean, starting a business has come with its own challenges for me. It's I mean, I had to learn accounting. I had to find the attention seekers to help me with the marketing, which is cool. I mean, all these things that I didn't know I needed, and I had to get out there and start learning all of that. But so I do business dev in the morning. I'm attending meetings, I'm collecting information, I'm doing all of that for various projects during the day. Was when do I actually do the work? You know what I mean? So
yeah,
pretty nocturnal. So I switched to an introvert, and I mean, into a nocturnal almost. Sit up pretty much. I start work at about 7 p.m. and go through the night, kind of just working, because I don't get interrupted. It's quite cool. So
yeah.
I've tried to find that balance, and then in between that, I've got family time, which is quite cool too. So I don't know, what are the tricks? Yeah. Friendly. I'm a real friendly person. It's just,
Yep.
it's easy to communicate with me, and I mean, yeah. What else? Mate, you make me think.
Well, that's the idea. Yep.
That's the idea.
Being curious. It sounds like you've got a good sense of also your values too around like everything, the things that you find important and making time for them.
Yeah. Oh, 100%. Like, I love snowboarding, and I'll take time out to go snowboarding. No
Yeah,
questions
so
asked.
good.
Yeah, mate. You need a little bit of mental relaxation as well, right?
Yep.
I can't keep running it 100 miles an hour. See, here's another trait. See, I don't always deliver. You know what I mean? Like, I pick the key moments of when I know it's time to deliver, and I give it 110%. After that, I'm going, okay, I need to calm down, recharge, and then I think it's identifying those key moments when you're required to deliver,
Mm-hmm.
and you show up and you deliver is really, really important, I think.
Yeah, awesome. Maybe tell me more about that. How do you define those key moments?
So I'm a big Formula One fan, right? So let's use Formula One as an analogy here. So say I'm Lewis Hamilton. I don't have to be driving the car at 110 miles an hour every single day, but Saturday is quali, Sunday is race. I'm expected to show up and deliver. That's what you do.
Yep.
Right. But then no questions asked. You're given 110% on a Saturday and a Sunday. You got time from Monday to Friday to chill if you're a Formula One racer.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's the same for me. Right. So if I have critical meetings that I'm expected to take control of and actually deliver, I will prepare. I'll give it 110%, show up and deliver. And then if I have to take 2 days off after that, I won't, doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But it's identifying those moments when you have to deliver. Yeah. I mean, for a Formula One driver, it's predefined.
Yes, correct.
For you and me, it's not. Right.
Well, the trap that so many of everyone in our industry falls into is just being on 110% for 40 or 50 or 60 hours a week. And so that's 100%. Yeah. And so that's a massive challenge at the moment because there's so much work on.
Yeah.
It's how do you define those key moments? How do you turn up and deliver? But also, how do you switch off? Like, any tips around that? Like, how do you intentionally transition to your downtime? Is it actually like a mental kind of thing? I'm taking tomorrow off, I'm going to do nothing. Like, what's the process for you there to switch off?
I try and build structure into my life, right? So I try and hit the gym 4 times a week minimum. Like, I have to sweat it out. That's part of my ritual to kind of cool down. And then every time I kind of find myself really flustered, or I know I'm headed towards burning out, I do a lot of breathing exercises. That helps me calm down. Block breathing. Have you heard of block breathing? Yeah.
I have, yep.
So I'm all about sitting down for 5 minutes and just doing some block breathing.
Yep,
and just
calming the nervous system.
That's it. Reducing the heart rate down, and then refocusing, and then re-strategizing on where I need to put my efforts to get maximum value. Yeah. And at that particular point, if I go, right, I'm going nowhere, that's when I take a day off. Or I'm sitting in meetings and I'm losing my cool. That's another telltale for me to go, nah, Andy, mate, you need a break. I tell myself. Yeah.
And are you okay taking a break? Like, I know people who have strong achiever and driver parts of their personality, like they go, all right, I'm taking a break. But then like half an hour later, they're just kind of back to it. And then 2 hours later, they're straight back into it. Like, is that sort of a self-talk thing, or how do you know that it's time to take a break, and how do you actually intentionally take a break?
If it's winter, it's pretty simple for me. Like, I will take a break.
Mountain,
mate. Yeah, mountain's calling. Mountain's always calling. But during the summer, like I said, I've identified what my signs are. It's taken me a while to identify what they are. I think that's the most important thing, is to first self-identify that you actually need the break, and the second part is closing that laptop, shutting everything off, turning off the emails on your phone, turning off the phone, and going, yep, it's me time, or it's family time, whatever it is. Like my wife wouldn't let me bring the phone onto the dining table, Yeah.
Good. I like it.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. So it's like, when I'm at the dinner table, it's dinner time.
Yeah, good.
Yeah,
Mate,
and
unreal.
everything is just set aside. I don't care if the phone rings 20 times, doesn't matter. Yep. So
Awesome.
it's just few little things. These little structures that we put in place
Yeah.
really helps.
Yeah. But I like what you said, that self-awareness first
Yeah.
is key. Like if you don't know you're getting overwhelmed, stressed, burnt out, then
Yeah.
you know, it's often too far advanced by the time you actually do recognize, and it takes you so much longer to recover.
Yeah, oh for sure. Because
Yep.
then there's always going to be shit that needs to get done.
Yep, sure is.
Question is, I mean, actually, the point is, if you don't do it, somebody else will.
Yep,
Yeah, and nobody's irreplaceable.
exactly, mate.
Yeah.
Question for you, like, what are you still working on? Like, what we talked about, sort of personality traits and strengths that you have right now that are really serving you. Like, what are things that's still work in progress for you?
As in from a technical aspect or from a
Probably more like, what skills do you still have to learn to build your business, and also like, you know, what traits do you notice don't serve you? So some people have like a really strong people pleaser where they say yes to everything all the time, and so they're working on that. Some people are hot-headed and they keep, you know, getting into arguments with people, so they're working on on that. Like, what's your next right thing in terms of your, you know, the thing that you're working on?
So I need to what I'm trying to work on is trying to figure out how I can actually translate my skill or transfer my skill to other people. I mean, I'm a bit of a perfectionist. Everything has to be right.
Yeah.
I mean, when it comes to delivering work, and you can't have one line in the wrong place. No, it bothers me, and I'll have sleepless nights.
Right. Good to know.
Yeah. So I don't know. What I've really struggled with is if I hire a staff, how do I then teach them what I know? I don't know. So that's part of the challenge that I'm really stuck in, where I'm like working in the business and not on the business, like I said earlier. So like,
Yeah.
I think I'm aware of that. I don't know what to do about it. If you
Yeah.
know what I mean. And I don't know how to teach another person exactly what I do. I mean, I wouldn't ask another person to come on and say you're working on 8 different projects all at the same time. I'm a madman. I'll do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's unfair for me to ask somebody else to do it. I mean, if that's not what they want. I mean, if that's what they want, cool, well and good. But I don't know. Yeah. So
So it sounds
that's,
like you're working on that.
yeah.
And this is actually one of the questions I wanted to ask you around, you know, your business vision. Like, where are you taking things? Like, what does the next 5 years bring for you? But it sounds like you're toying with that idea of bringing on staff, but then you're
Yeah.
not sure about how to actually delegate, translate what's up here into their brain so they can do it
Yeah.
just as good as you.
Yeah. Yeah. I wouldn't say I'm really good, but what I do, I try and do it to perfection. Yeah.
Nice.
Otherwise, I wouldn't do it at all. It's as simple
Yep.
as that. But yeah, you're right. I am trying to kind of work out how I bring people on. Do I bring experienced planners on? Do I bring young graduates on? Do I bring you know, share the business and bring another business partner on who's also a planner who has a vision? How does all of that work? But I'm struggling between time to do work and got a few family commitments coming up, and
Yep.
so I'm a bit all over the place right now, but manageably all over the place.
Well,
Yeah.
that's good to hear, mate.
Yeah.
And so what does the next 5 years bring for you in the business?
I'm not 110% sure.
Yep.
I'm open to ideas. I've started my podcast as well.
Yes.
I don't know if you I'm sure you've listened in on it.
I've made. Yep.
And for everybody else that's listening, it's shit. I need to remember the name of my podcast now. I'm talking to you.
We'll put the
Click
link
up.
somewhere.
Yeah. Construct strategically, yarns with Andy, and that podcast is focused all around kind of bringing on people from the coalface that work in the New Zealand construction industry to identify the key problems in the construction industry.
Yep.
I'm definitely passionate about what I do, really passionate about what I do. But would I be doing the exact same thing in 5 years or post 5 years? Probably not. You know, I wanna add value to the construction industry.
Yep.
And form of digitalization. Would I be writing programs after 5 years? Probably not. That's not where I see myself going, or where the business. Yes. How I support that, how I formulate a strategy around that is things I'm working on. Yeah.
Yeah, good, mate. Oh, it's a nice place to be in terms of playing around with that strategy,
Yeah.
and having those options to see where things go. That's awesome.
Yeah, yeah. It's been a real interesting journey, I tell you.
Yeah, mate. Mate, last question. So obviously you are the sum total of all of your experiences and knowledge and all that sort of stuff now, and you've had wins, lessons, learnings, losses, all those sorts of things. Like if you got the opportunity to catch up with the 10-year younger version of yourself, what kind of advice would you give that version of you 10 years ago?
Um, I would have told myself to go into Formula One.
Right.
No, mate, no, that was my dream. Going into Formula One to become a race engineer has always been the dream. Throughout my engineering years. But unfortunately for me, I graduated in 2008.
Right. What does that mean?
When the recession hit, the Lehman Brothers crash. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
And I was studying in Dubai, and I was working towards I worked on 6 different racetracks. It was great. I spent my entire engineering career focused towards getting into Formula One or motor racing as a race engineer, as a strategist, right?
Interesting.
Yeah, and then it became a case of survival, and I said, I'm in a foreign country. The bank of mom and dad's only going to support you that much, right?
Yep.
And I was like, gotta get into something, make some money, and then I naturally fell into controls and planning, and yeah, here I am.
Haven't left.
But here's the thing, right? What I do is not very different from race engineering, if you think about it. It's race engineers manage change in milliseconds.
True.
I manage change over days, over weeks, months, years on a project.
So you're pretty much doing it anyway.
Kinda. Still not at 300 miles an hour.
No, it could be in the 5-year plan though, from the sounds of it.
As a Formula One race engineer, yeah, I think I'm in the wrong country, and I'm a bit too old for that now.
Or we just have to settle for watching it on telly, mate.
Yeah, formulating my own strategy and yelling at the race strategist. Yeah,
that's right.
I naturally do that. Oh, mate,
so
funny.
good.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Andy, thank you so much for agreeing to catch up, mate. It's been awesome learning about you, your journey, that sort of stuff. I think, yeah, mate, exciting times ahead for the business.
Yeah.
Let's stay in touch and see where things go.
100%, man. And thank you so much for having me on. I really do appreciate the opportunity.
Easy. Anytime.
Yeah.
All right, mate. Thanks, and talk to you soon.
All right. Cheers, Josh. Thanks, mate.
Awesome.